It's Friday, November 8th, 2024, and I'm speaking with Mr. John J. Jeckovich, and we're reading his book, Their Mother's Sons. Mr. Jeckovich wrote this book approximately 25 years ago, and we just basically found out about it just a couple years ago. Mr. Jeckovich is a highly decorated World War II vet, Purple Heart and 2 Bronze Stars. Frontline from the day he was drafted to the day he left, and he fought many battles, but the most important battle he was in was the final battle of a European theater called the Battle of the Bulge. And this is where Mr. Jeckovich was shot in the shoulder by a sniper. Many of their buddies were killed. Many of his buddies were killed. And Mr. Jeckovich also was a victim of a bombing, which he still has shrapnel in his legs now. If you go on an airport to go through the check-in, the alarms would go off because he's got so much metal in his body. What do they put in these bombs? What are the kind of things they put in these bombs they blow over your head?
They put bolts, razor blades, and everything else.
So these bombs are really dirty bombs. They fill them up with razor blades, old bolts, tools, anything, so when it explodes over these young soldiers' head, everything goes every which way, covering a large area of destruction. One of Mr. Jeckovich's right-hand gunners, Donald Lape, got almost a direct hit and blew us head off, and the only thing was hanging, is a sad story, was his eyeglasses hanging from one ear. Mr. Jeckovich removed that, removed a dog tag, and sent a nice letter to his mother and father. That was a 19-year-old boy. He didn't know nothing about war. Mr. Donald Lape, he wasn't street smart, was he?
What?
Donald Lape wasn't street smart, was he?
No. Well, his father and mother were lawyers.
So he was book smart.
Yeah.
And you always had to tell him to get down, put your head down.
He didn't do it.
But if you're not street smart in a war like that, you probably won't make it.
Yeah.
A very interesting fact, Donald Lape was, as I said, Mr. Jeckovich's right-hand gunner. They ran heavy machine guns. It took many people to run it. Donald Lape's younger brother lived in Florida for 25 years, and the interesting story was he lived only 2 blocks from Mr. Jeckovich, and while his younger brother was alive, they never had the chance to meet. They didn't know it, but we later found out that his younger brother, Donald Lape's younger brother, who was too young to go in World War II, retired for 25 years, just 2 blocks from Mr. Jeckovich. That would have been absolutely beautiful for those two to meet. They would have hit off right and talked about Donald Lape. Donald Lape's a true hero. Mr. Jeckovich, before I start reading, what is your dog tag number?
409-296.
Okay, thank you. This will open up the laptop. We're in Studio 6A today, and we don't have nothing really prepared, but we are in Chapter 20. Mr. Jeckovich is getting engaged. The actual chapter is titled as Engaged and Wedding Plans. Mr. Jeckovich is engaged to Delphine Stulak. And how long were you married for, Mr. Jeckovich?
69 years.
69 years. So it was a marriage that worked out perfectly. A marriage that worked out perfectly. Mr. Jeckovich met Delphine Stulak at the Del Room Ballroom.
Right, in Buffalo.
Where exactly was the Del Room?
Main Street in Buffalo.
Was that a second-store ballroom?
Yeah.
Was it a big place?
It was a big place. They had a 25-piece band there.
Wow. And that's where Mr. Jeckovich met Delphine Stulak. And he had a little obstacle to get over. Delphine worked at W.T. Grant's.
Yeah.
And she was always with her 2 girlfriends. What were her girlfriends?
Agnes and Rosalie.
Agnes and Rosalie. These were 3 peas in a pod. They traveled everywhere together. So Mr. Jeckovich had to devise a scheme so he could start dating Delphine alone.
Yeah.
How'd you exactly do that?
How did I do that?
Yeah, how'd you get rid of the other 2 so he could spend some time alone with Delphine?
Well, Delphine and I talked it over. I said, well, we have to ease out of this. You just can't say, just don't bother us. But they got tired. They're aware that the way they want to be with the two of them with us. So
in the beginning, it was hard because whenever you picked up Delphine, they were there.
Yeah.
Tell us about the first time you met Delphine and how you ended up taking all the girls home.
I met her. She worked at the Grants. They were getting out of the store, and we went down for coffee at the White House.
But didn't you have to take the two girls home first?
Well, they were scattered in Buffalo all over.
And so that was like...
Delphine was the last one.
Uh-huh. And did Delphine live in Buffalo or Hamburg?
Yeah, Buffalo,
Oh,
Coons
okay.
Avenue.
Coons Avenue?
Coons Avenue.
Okay.
Right off of Broadway.
I'll be damned. I wonder if that house is still there today.
Probably, yeah.
So that's an interesting story. And then this chapter's on Mr. Jeckovich getting engaged. Mr. Jeckovich had many girlfriends. He had girlfriends in Haverford West, Jean Roland Young. He had a girlfriend. This is all during World War II. I keep on saying, I don't know where the hell he had time to be in World War II. He had so many girlfriends, but God bless him. So Haverford West, he had Jean Roland Young. And then in Owensboro, Kentucky, he had Anna Mahaney.
Well, I had a picture on the wall, never.
Yeah, well, I'll tell that story right now, and you can, with your help. Mr. Jeckovich was very close to Anne Mahaney from Owensboro, Kentucky, and he met her when he was in a training base outside of Kentucky. I think it was in Indiana.
Indiana, but it was between the two states.
Border, yeah.
What was the name of the base? Do you remember?
You remember the name of the base?
What?
The base in Indiana?
My base?
Yeah,
The Army base?
yeah.
What was it? It was 291. 291 infantry. That's
Okay. Well, anyways, Mr. Jeckovich would be going to Owensboro, Kentucky, and he met Anne Mahaney. And tell us, that's an interesting story. Tell us how you met her.
Well, I met her at a dance.
No, Anne Mahaney in Owensboro.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, how did you meet her?
I think we met her in the dining room someplace. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Mr. Jeckovich was very close with Anne Mahaney in Owensboro. And an interesting fact and story, if you'd fast forward, maybe 70 years, Mr. Jeckovich picked up the phone and called Anne Mahaney. Now, picture this. She was a little bit older than Mr. Jeckovich, so she was probably in the mid to late 90s. So you picked her up, she answered the phone, you called her, and what happened?
She was a real feeble voice. I couldn't understand what she was saying.
So, in your mind, she's still a 21-year-old girl.
Oh, yeah.
And so, disappointingly, but expected.
Yeah.
So what did you do when you hung up that phone?
I took her picture off the wall and put my mother up there.
This is getting back to their mother-son's book. This is a beautiful story. He had Anne Mahaney's picture in his office wall for probably 60 or 70 years. When we removed the picture, it was always stained yellow from being there so long. And when we removed the picture, what'd you do with it?
I wrapped it in the towel.
And you put it where?
It got louder. I can't find it yet.
Okay, maybe in your file cabinet.
Yeah.
And then what picture did you put up?
I put up my mother's.
Okay. And so then that was a nice long relationship. And then he was shipped overseas to Wales and Haverford West. And he met a beautiful lady with a beautiful family called Jean Roland Young. Tell us how you met Jean.
We met her at a Sunday afternoon picnic.
Okay, Jean Roland Young was a nice lady.
Oh, yeah.
Her father at that time was the mayor.
Monsignor, yeah.
He was the mayor. And we had made attempts to talk to Jean Roland Young, but we had no success. And let me tell you what we've done so far. And if anyone in Haverford West listening, we've got texts and calls from Haverford West, and they don't know her, but someone does. Gene Roland Young, we made several attempts. We had a few investigators come over from Paris, and they would be going by and checking out the old address and talking to neighbors in Haverford West, and we couldn't turn one good lead. So finally we had a friend that was into newspaper publications, and he contacted the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail is a big newspaper in London with a circulation of almost 1 million. So they wrote a full-page story on Mr. Jeckovich about this and searching for her family or descendants of her family, and we didn't turn up nothing.
Oh, boy.
Didn't turn up nothing. And then we sent out some more investigators from Wales, and they couldn't get a lead on it, but we don't give up this easily. We don't give up this easily. If you throw enough money at something, you'll eventually get it. We're going to get it right, but we don't know when. We still have 2 investigators working the area, but we'll turn up something. So Jean Roland Young, if you know of her, in Haverford West,
Or the family.
yeah. The father was a mayor, so someone's got to know him. Text us at 407-366-0000. And then finally, before Mr. Jeckovich was sent to the front lines, no, he was in the front lines, let me backtrack. He got shot up in the war, he got shot up by a sniper, he had bombed, he had shrapnel, so they sent him to a hospital in Paris. And there he met a beautiful lady named Renee. Now, there's no more mystery with Renee. We know quite well what happened to Renee. Renee was a Roman Catholic nun in a convent in Paris, and you must understand the Nazis were occupying Paris for 4 years, and Renee got notice that her mother and father, and I imagine her mother and father were probably just in their 40s because she had to be in her 20s, got killed and tortured by the Nazis. And then she received another notice about a month later that her 2 beautiful brothers, and they had to be only like teenagers, were killed and tortured by the Nazis. So at this time, Renee was questioning her faith, which many people do. Even the Pope questions his faith. And then she left the convent and
Got a resistance.
what did she join?
Well, she was resistance.
She joined the French resistance. Did you go to her headquarters underground?
Oh yeah, she was down in the tubes in the tunnel.
But what was the conditions there?
Terrible, terrible.
What was the smell like?
It would smell like a damp place.
But that was a safe place for them because they weren't discovered
Well,
there.
that's where they had the radio. That's where they had the communication.
They weren't discovered there. So this was a very fine lady, and Mr. Jeckovich was very fond of her. And by the way, she was also a very accomplished artist. She had a studio now in Paris, a modest studio in Paris. And when Mr. Jeckovich went there for the first time, what did you see, Mr. Jeckovich?
German officers, top line off German officers. Well, she was a portrait, painted portraits physically on her face. And those Germans are real egotistical. They loved it.
Yeah, the Nazi officers and the SS are all puffed up with their self-worth. However, once the war was over, it was a different story. It was a different story. They didn't have the big egos anymore. They were abandoning everybody like rats on a sinking ship. They didn't even admit that they were SS or Nazis because they knew what would happen to them. So when you went there, you see some beautiful portraits done with high quality.
Yeah.
And did you feel a little bit uneasy being surrounded by all the Nazi officers?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised, but she said when they come in and they're egotistical. They wanted somebody to self-portrait their face.
And what was Renee doing this for?
Well, she was passing information to the Allies.
The French underground.
These Germans come in and they start talking to one another.
Right.
And they drop a lot of good information.
Right. They dropped a lot of good information. So That was a damn good pipeline. But like all good things come to an end. Renee supplied a lot of information. She saved a lot of Jews from being slaughtered in the concentration camps. But what finally happened?
Well, the Germans found, they tricked her, they found her, and I think took out in the woods and killed her.
Took out in the woods and killed her. So that was the beginning and end of Renee. So those are the three affairs Mr. Jeckovich had during World War II, many thereafter, but he could never find a decent enough person when he left the service that his mother would accept. So we fast forward a few years, and he became quite good friends with Delphine Stulak. And so when you finally brought Delphine Stulak to your mother, how'd that go?
Oh, that went great, that went great.
Tell us about it.
Well, it was Sunday, I told Delphine, you gotta meet my mother, and I said, we'll take it Sunday afternoon.
And
So
what-
we drove around the block a couple times, so she got enough courage just so we went in there, and I said, Mom, here's Delphine. And she said, well, all right, Dad, all right, John, get back in that kitchen, finish those kitchens, I'll take care of this young lady.
Now that is wonderful. So let me understand this. You were remodeling your mother's kitchen,
Yeah,
and finally Delphine came in. Instead of your mother having you both sit down on the couch, she says, all right, Johnny, you get back to that remodeling job. I'll take care of this.
yeah, but she got, they were bosom buddies after that.
So how'd that first meeting go?
Oh, that was great. They
So-
talked right on.
And for 50 years, they're their best friends.
Yeah,
And so your mother had no more problems with loneliness.
yeah.
And Delphine had a great mother-in-law.
How to cook, Delphine couldn't cook.
What happened there?
When the mom get hold of Delphine, teach her how to cook.
And did she teach you how to cook?
Oh, yeah, she was a good cook.
I'll be
Southern
damned.
dinners and everything, roasts and everything.
When you first got married, did Delphine have a driver's license?
No, she couldn't drive.
How long did it take her to learn to drive?
I had the Volkswagen then, and there was shifting on the floor. So we took her out the golf course, the bare feet, the field there, and just taught her. She ground her gears for a while, but she got used to it, yeah.
Was she grinding them pretty bad?
Yeah.
What?
Well, she went to Pittsburgh one day with us one time.
I'll be
Sally.
damned.
Well, Sally got sick, and I said, Delphine, you have to drive the car.
Yeah, by the way, Sally is Mr. Jeckovich's younger sister. So, how is you really had some brutal winters in Niagara Falls. How was the heating system in those Volkswagens back then?
Heating, you had to go fast to get the heat.
So you had a speed to get heat.
Yeah, there's no fan in there, there's no fan.
How about at normal speeds, what kind of heat?
What kind of a heat?
At normal speeds?
The speed of the car?
Yeah, say if you're driving
35,
normally.
40 miles.
So at 40 miles an hour, did you have heat?
Yeah.
Was it good heat?
Well, scattered, yeah.
So Delphine learned on a standard shift, which is an interesting point. Most people today don't know about a standard shift or drive.
No, it's all automatic.
I recently read an article, the best protection you could have for a car in today's times, 2024, is buy a car with a standard shift, because you're pretty much guaranteed that car will never be stolen, because no one never knows, most people don't know how to drive a standard shift.
You can't shift it, no.
So that's a good method to keep your car from being stolen. An interesting fact, many a time we'd go to valet parkings with a car that had a standard shift. You would think the valets would know how to drive standard shift, but even they don't.
Oh, they would jump at the jerk of the car, you know.
So it's a thing of the past. So Mr. Jeckovich, all his worries about bringing the right person home to mother, because mother was tough now. If she didn't like you, she'd tell you. Worked out perfectly well.
Worked up that Sunday afternoon, yeah.
That lady you were dating that worked at the front office of Kimberly-Clark, what was her name?
Beverly.
How would Beverly and your mother have got along?
I don't think she ever met Delphine.
But if they
My
did,
mother.
how would Beverly got along with your mother?
She did, I don't.
But if you did, supposing you brought Beverly to
They wouldn't get along.
and what's the major reason?
I mean, Beverly with personality.
Her personality.
Yeah,
They-
different, yeah.
It wouldn't work out.
Yeah,
It wouldn't work out. Every time Mr. Jeckovich has over 264, 65 docu-series. He got many of them about World War II in his personal life. But it seems like every time I see you and talk to you, you have brand new clothes on.
I have brand new clothes.
What do you have, a pipeline to the mall or something?
No,
brand
no,
new pot. I'm looking.
These pants are.
Brand new, same color.
Yeah.
Shirts, sweaters, socks.
This is brand new, yeah.
I bet you have a closet by size of 10 by 10.
Come on now.
It's amazing. Well, you're looking well today. You're looking well today. I see you have your Trump ear bandage on still.
Yeah, I still got that on.
You
Yeah.
do. That's going to come off in a few days. And Mr. Jeckovich has a nice staff of about 6 or 7. Beautiful people, all hand-picked. Great cooks. Great people that really love people. That's the point. You can hire some people and you can pay them as much money as you want. That doesn't guarantee you
That's
you're going to
right.
get someone with a heart. You have people that love the elderly. You have to get someone with empathy. Empathy. And basically, if you hire a person that took care of their family in the past, you're probably in the right track. But over the years, we've hired a lot of people, and it was dead ends.
Yeah.
It was a battle. So now we got 6 beautiful people, and Mr. Jeckovich has been the happiest he have been in 2 years. He's in high cotton. He's in high cotton right now. New clothes, nails done, hair done. I can't even pick up all the stuff he gets done. He's on top of the world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's on top of the world. But listen, we're not going to make light of it. It's a great feat to be knocking on the door of 100. Let's not kid each other. It's a great feat. If you're 40 years old and listening to this now, you have a 10% chance of making it to 100. You have a 10% chance of making it to 100. It's a great feat. And let's not, Mr. Jeckovich is in high cotton and he's doing well. But getting old is not for wimps, right, Mr. Jeckovich?
Right.
It's hard. Getting old is hard. Mr. Jeckovich has never took a prescription in his life, not even a baby aspirin. Mr. Jeckovich jogged for 70 or 80 years. Mr. Jeckovich never smoked or drank, but he jogged for 70 or 80 years and his knees finally blew out. Once your knees blow out, you're restricted to a wheelchair. Now you need a staff around the clock, 6 or 7, help you with the bathroom and dressing, and the list is long. So it's not easy, right?
It's a different environment.
It's
yeah.
hard. It's hard. And a lot of people don't understand how expensive it is to get old. In most cases, you'll outlive your money. Because once you get old, you're basically, let's not kid around here, you're a human cash register. 1,000 clicked in the machine today, 5,000, 50,000, 10,000. The list goes on and there's no breaks. There is no breaks. Every day it's a different thing. But Mr. Jeckovich is in high cotton. He doesn't have that problem. But for you younger people thinking about retiring in 64, 65, don't even think about retiring at 50 because you'll fucking outlive your money.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
I've heard people come up to me and say, hey, life is beautiful. I got my house paid in full and I have $1 million liquid in the bank. First thing I say, not to being sarcastic, but being honest. They tell me they have their house paid in full and they have $1 million in the bank. I said the first thing, in a friendly way with advice, I would not want to be you. I would not want to be you because it is very expensive getting old. And you most probably outlive your money. Outlive your money. Let's go back. Let's give you an example. You're 64, you're 65, you're in beautiful health, and you're on top of the world. But once you kick into those 60s and 50s, you could have a disease or a problem at any minute. It'll be there. Might get lucky or not. Okay, let's just say, for example, you have a problem. Not unusual. Your knees blow out. Now you need a staff. 2 each day, each shift, 3 shifts a day. That'll run you about $40,000 a month to stay at home. So let's go back to the formula. You got $1 million in the bank, $40,000 a month. That's $500,000 a year. So in 2 years,
You're out.
you're broke, you're bankrupt. So I'm saying this for young people to rethink their plan. And that's only in the 60s. But if you try to go this guy's age of 100, you have no idea how expensive it is. So I'm asking people to think about it so they can plan their retirement a little bit better. Believe it, you'll blink and you'll be 60.
You should get a good insurance policy.
But you'll be blink and they'll be 60.
Yeah.
Because, everyone says, oh, I'm only 40. Shit, you blink your eyes, you'll be 60, bro. You'll be 60. And getting old is not for wimps. And when you'll say to yourself, well, I got 2 beautiful sons and
Yeah.
I got a beautiful daughter and they'll care for me.
They're gone.
What happens there, Mr.
They're
Jeckovich?
gone.
They'll abandon you like a rat on a sinking ship. They'll abandon you like a rat on a sinking ship. And let me elaborate a little bit further. When everything's going good in life and everyone's healthy and they're going to Thanksgiving together and Christmas and singing fucking Kumbaya, everything's wonderful. But when you have to start taking care of an elderly person, that involves time, 3 to 12 hours a day minimum, with a staff, with a big staff working behind you.
If they want to do it.
Yeah, if they want to do. And then lots and lots of money. So they've been nicknamed the slacker siblings. The slacker siblings. These 2 sons and daughter, they abandoned Mr. Jeckovich like a rat on a sinking ship. They think they're doing what's so important and doing nothing with their time. But it's easier to bury your head in the sand. It's easy to bury your head in the sand, pretend you don't have a family when push comes to shove. But these were never family people. So let me just say, if you're planning on having a family take care of you when you get older,
No, never happened.
never happened. You might find one that's exceptional, but we won't talk about that now. But in generally speaking, they'll abandon you like a rat on
Well,
a
I did that with my mother. I took care of her until she passed away.
Absolutely, and that's why the book is here.
Yeah.
Their mother's sons.
Yeah.
Their mother's sons. But we're not going to get into the specifics of your family. We're not going to talk about that. We're just talking generally right now. But that gives us, this message is for young people that must be more independent and must have a lot bigger nest egg than owning a house free and clear and $1 million in the bank, because you will outlive your money.
What would he have done different? If he, anything?
No.
Okay. 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Thank you for the update.
What's that?
1 minute and 30 seconds left, and then we run out of time. Studio rentals. They will evict you in 1 minute and 30 seconds. And so, Mr. Jeckovich, you're really looking well today in your brand new clothes.
Oh,
And Mr. Jeckovich's driver's license is still good for 2.5 more years, minutes.
57
What?
seconds.
2025 Dodge 1500 electric 4x4. Mr. Jeckovich is having the controls put on the steering wheel, and this guy will be all about town.
Driving.
All about town. Your license is good to 2027, and we're going to work it every single day.
Oh.
You've got a sharp eye. Mr. Jeckovich could read the newspaper without glasses.
I know.
He could squeeze your hand and knock you to the ground.
I know.
Huh?
He's very strong.
He's in perfect health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seconds?
20.
So when you see this white 2025 cruising about, look for the man working the steering wheel controls. But I'll tell you what, stay out of his damn way. Stay out of his damn way. I am. Seconds?
4. Alrighty, we'll pick it up tomorrow.